All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Union Township Board of Trustees special meeting, agenda October 21st, 2022 at 3 p.m. Mr. Campbell, let the record show all three trustees are present. And gentlemen, we have on the agenda tonight, again, we have a special meeting at specific time, purpose, and place. This is for the resolution 2022-41. Susan, would you like to introduce the resolution, please?
There has been some ongoing concerns about the issuance of licenses for medical marijuana within the township. This would be processors, dispensaries, or cultivation businesses. The township is given the authority through the state law to prohibit or limit the issuance of these licenses through the zoning code. What you have in front of you is a proposed moratorium for a period of 6 months or 180 days. That would prevent any applications from moving forward at this time, would not affect those that are already on the books, but would affect any new applications while we make a longer-term decision about how to handle the matter.
All right, thank you very much, Susan. At this time, gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve the recommended resolution 2022-41?
So moved. Second.
Gentlemen, you have any discussion on it this time?
Ms. Ayers, just have a question for you. So you said this would prohibit any future applications. Are there any new pending applications currently?
I have
Can you
put,
speak up, please?
Oh.
sure. I have put in a public records request to the State Board of Pharmacy so that we can confirm 100% of what's out there. I have not received a response to that yet. To my knowledge, there are 3 that have been approved, but I am not aware of anything else, and I've not been able to confirm that through the State Board of Pharmacy at this point in time.
Okay, so when you say 3, that's the one on Old 74, the one from last week, and then there's another one? Is that correct?
Again, I have not
Okay.
been able to confirm this, so please take it for what it's
All right,
worth.
fair
My understanding is there was an additional application for one on State Route 125, but I haven't been able to confirm one way or another about what the status of that is.
Fair enough. Which it would fall in line with, it would not fall in line with this resolution if that is correct.
Depends on where it is in the process through the State Board of Pharmacy, so it's a very technical line of what has already been approved or what's been submitted but not processed.
Fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. That's all I have.
I'm sorry, where did you say it was approved?
I'm sorry?
Where did you say?
My understanding is I thought there was one on State Route 125, but I've been unable to confirm that through the State Board of Pharmacy. I've put in a public records request so that we have the definite records of exactly where everything stands for whatever's been submitted for the township, but I have not received a response to that record yet, so I don't want to represent to you that I could 100% say this is what it is, because I don't trust that until I know what the records are from the State Board of Pharmacy.
Okay, so there are 3 that we know of.
There are 3 that I've been told, yes.
So, and that, and I'll clarify, or if I can clarify on that, that's my understanding that's the 3 that, as of the October, November of 2021, that were submitted with the notice of proper zoning form, in which Union Township, we checked the area of Union Township has not enacted a local moratorium or taken other action that would prohibit the applicant from operating as a medical marijuana dispensary. That was the box that was checked. That is the legal threshold that essentially is in place that these medical dispensaries look for when they go to jurisdictions. It's those 3, correct, that once that notice of proper zoning form is submitted, that's where it's difficult to be able to change that on that applicant without facing legal challenges.
There becomes a point where they get far enough along in the process that it becomes a legal concern.
Okay, great. So with that being obviously the legal question that has risen, Susan, I'll just say, last week when this rose as a question during the public hearing with the board and afterwards with board comments, I asked the board, thank you board for the support on this, because I asked that the staff, task this as a high priority to research the options, to be able to move forward, have community feedback in place, and to answer any legal questions. And I think the turnaround within the week, I know I've talked with business owners, residents, and school board members, and I've got their feedback, and their feedback is alignment with, again, the recognition to call for this special meeting to put a moratorium in place. I think it's appropriate and quick action, so thank you very much, Susan and staff, for going into this, because I love the opportunity to hear community feedback. Thank you. Gentlemen, any further discussion?
Yes.
Please.
All right, so, my position with these marijuana dispensaries, just in case there's any doubt in anybody's mind, I don't want them here at all. The number I'll tolerate is 0. So we know we're going to have at least 3, and apparently, we cannot legally stop any of those 3. So regardless of what we do today, we're getting 3 or possibly more, so we know the baseline of the minimum is 3. So with that, gentlemen, unless you think there's a reasonable reason to conclude that maybe 3 is not enough, or the public wants more than 3, I frankly, rather than having a 6-month moratorium, I'd rather it be a permanent moratorium that could always be changed by the board in the future if we so choose, or a future board, somewhere in years going by. Therefore, I am placing an amendment on the floor, move to amend, to make this a permanent moratorium rather than 6 months.
Thank you, Trustee Becker. I see your perspective and respect that and appreciate that. I personally had the commitment I made, last week in here to charge the staff with taking their best course of action forward, to bring forward recommendations, and that we engage and hear from the community. And I've received verbal support talking about that with the school board, business owners, and other community members. It doesn't necessarily clearly make a decision one way or another, but allows the opportunity for us to have citizen engagement, community feedback, and that's where I'm going to stay at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll say this. Mr. Becker, I tend to agree with you.
That's fine.
As far as that. But I will also say this, because 3 is more than enough. But that's my opinion, and we're supposed to represent the residents of Union Township. And so I didn't even think about these medical marijuana dispensaries until this all came about. I mean, ask me in January, this is not what I was thinking about. This is not one of my top 5 issues I was concerned with. So until all this come about, I didn't even think about a moratorium. I just didn't. So I'd like for Mark and Susan to do more research and really dissect this. I'd also, number one, though, a priority is to get more feedback from the community. And I think the 6 months gives us more than enough time to do that instead of making a permanent ban on them. I'm in favor of that, and I have a feeling in 6 months from now I'll probably be voting in favor of that. But I'd like to just get all the information, because if the constituents and the community says, no, we love these things and whatever, our job is to vote on their behalf. So I would say, I want to just try to pump the brakes on everything, make sure we're making a smart, wise decision, listen to my zoning director, my administrator, and law director, and most importantly, the community, get feedback on what to do in the future. So I just don't want to jump the gun. I want to pump the brakes, and I think a 6-month moratorium is good, with potential after that to decide with you. So I just want you to know where my head's at. I just want to get feedback from the community. So
Fair enough.
You bring one comment in mind I want to share with both of you too. I think we generally share the same consensus here across the board. Interesting enough, like you said, it's not necessarily on your radar. It's something with the Ohio Revised Code in 2016 that allowed the ability to put those moratoriums in place. I think when we look at jurisdictions all around us, a lot of them have them. I know Anderson Township, et cetera. No, this was a unique thing. Columbia Township, and I asked Susan to do some research on this too. Not that, look at best practices and collaboration, and we're still determining. I'm not going to say this is a best practice or not, but Columbia Township had an interesting way in which that they addressed it. They put the moratorium in place, and then to address any specific challenges to locations, such as what the school board's interest is, they were able to create essentially an exception in their moratorium to unique addresses or locations, and to address any citizens' concerns with crime or any additional issues with that, they were able to essentially negotiate and assess a percentage of sales, I guess is a way to say it, on those locations. Don't know if that's necessarily right, wrong, and different. I think it's a unique time for governments that are acting on this in their first time around. As Mr. Wright said to me previously, no decision is a decision when it comes to this, and frankly, that's where we go back to the notice of proper zoning, that, when these first came in October and November of '21, the area of Union Township has not enacted a local moratorium or taken other action to prohibit, leaves us with that position right now where we've got to just strategically see what's the best course moving forward. So I think we're all under a general understanding consensus here. So thank you for sharing your perspective. And just want to put that on your radar too, as far as those articles and information that's out there, and what I think the staff will continue to research, because I think that they'll get community feedback or questions about, those specific concerns. So, thank you. Any further discussion?
Well, I think just procedurally, Mr. Chairman, I think you just declare that my amendment died for
Correct, lack of a
lack
second.
of a second, and then we go back to reconsidering the original motion,
Okay.
just for the record.
Yeah, for the record, so the motion,
You got a motion on the floor and a second to adopt resolution 2022-41. John never had a second on his amendment, so it dies for lack of a second.
Exactly.
So you're ready to vote. One of you guys are done.
If we're done with
so,
discussion.
okay, so to close discussion there, we'll take the roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, gentlemen, being that it's a special meeting, that concludes our agenda items for today. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 3:12 PM.
Thank you.